I've been delivering food for 3 years now. 3 whole years of greasy bags, wrong addresses, and customers who think tipping is optional. By the time March rolled around in 2026, I thought I'd seen everything this job could throw at me. I was wrong. That night started like any other Wednesday. Cold, wet. The kind of rain that doesn't pour but just exists. That annoying mist that gets into everything. My Honda Civic smelled like old French fries and that fake vanilla air freshener I kept forgetting to replace. I'd been on the clock since 4 in the afternoon and it was pushing 9:30. My goal was $200 before midnight. I was at 163. Close, but not close enough to call it quits. The app pinged. Russo's Italian Kitchen. Pickup time, 9:42 p.m. Drop-off, 1847, Marlo Street. Distance, 4.2 miles. Payout, $18.50. $18.50 for 4 miles. That was unusual, good unusual. The kind of order that makes you forget how much your lower back hurts. I accepted it without thinking. Russo's was one of those old-school Italian places that still had checkered tablecloths and wine bottles with candles melted down the sides. The owner, Maria, knew me by name. She always packed the orders tight, double-bagged everything. "Big order tonight, eh?" she said, sliding 2 large bags across the counter. I glanced inside. 3 pasta dishes, garlic bread, cannolis. Enough food for a small family. "Guess someone's having a good night," I said. Maria smiled, but there was something off about it. Tight, like she wanted to say something but didn't. "You be careful out there," she said. "Roads are slick." I nodded, grabbed the bags, and headed back to my car. The rain had picked up. Not a downpour, but enough to make the windshield wipers work overtime. I set the food in the passenger seat, clicked my seatbelt, and punched the address into my GPS. 1847 Marlo Street. The map loaded. The route was straightforward. Straight down Riverside Avenue, hang a left on Polk, then a right onto Marlo. 12-minute drive. I shifted into gear and pulled out. Riverside Avenue was empty. No cars, no pedestrians, just streetlights cutting through the mist like yellow ghosts. I'd driven this road 100 times, but something felt different that night. Heavier, like the air itself was pressing down on the windshield. My phone sat in the dashboard mount, the blue GPS line guiding me forward. The automated voice was calm, almost bored. "In 0.3 miles, turn left onto Polk Street." I turned. Polk Street was darker. Fewer streetlights. The houses here were old, not historic old, neglected old, peeling paint, chain link fences, yards full of things people meant to throw away but never did. "In 0.2 miles, turn right onto Marlo Street." I slowed down as I approached the turn. Marlo Street didn't have a sign. Or if it did, it had been torn down years ago. There was just a narrow road that split off to the right, barely wide enough for 1 car. The GPS insisted, "Turn right onto Marlo Street." I turned. Marlo Street didn't feel like part of the city anymore. The asphalt was cracked, split open in places where weeds pushed through like fingers. The trees on either side hung low, their branches scraping the roof of my car as I drove. There were no streetlights here. My headlights were the only source of light, and they barely cut through the fog that had started to roll in. Thick. Unnatural. I checked my phone. The GPS said I was halfway there, 0.2 miles to destination. But I hadn't seen a single house number yet. No mailboxes, no driveways, just trees and fog and that cracked road stretching ahead. My hands tightened on the wheel. "In 500 feet, your destination will be on the right." I leaned forward, squinting through the windshield, and then I saw it. The house appeared out of the fog like something from a dream you can't quite remember. It was small, single story, the kind of place that might have been nice in the 70s but had been left to rot ever since. The siding was a faded yellow, streaked with mold. The windows were dark, covered with heavy curtains that didn't move. But the porch light was on, a single bare bulb, swinging slightly in the wind. I pulled up to the curb and put the car in park. The engine idled. The headlights stayed on, pointed at the front door. I grabbed my phone and checked the order details. Customer name, M. Torino. Delivery instructions. Leave on porch. Do not knock. Do not ring bell. All caps, bold text. Okay, fine. No contact delivery. I'd done 1,000 of those. I grabbed the bags, pushed open the car door, and stepped out into the rain. The walkway to the house was made of broken concrete slabs, uneven and slick with moss. I moved carefully, the bags heavy in my hands. The porch was worse. The wood sagged under my weight, creaking loud enough to make me freeze. I waited, half expecting the boards to give way and send me crashing through. They held. I stepped closer to the door. It was painted red, or it had been once. Now it was just flakes of rust-colored paint clinging to rotted wood. There was no doorbell, no knocker, just a door. I set the bags down gently, pulled out my phone, and took the required photo. The app chimed softly. Delivery complete. I turned to leave. That's when I heard it. Excuse me. I froze. The voice came from behind the door, muffled, distant, a woman's voice. Excuse me, she said again. I think there's been a mistake. My stomach dropped. I turned slowly. The door was still closed. The porch light swung gently above me, casting shadows that stretched and twisted. I didn't order this, the voice said. I cleared my throat. The app says this is the right address. 1847 Marlo Street. Order for M. Torino. Silence. Then, I'm not M. Torino. My pulse quickened. Okay, I said carefully. Let me check with support. Maybe there was a mix-up. Could you bring it inside? The voice asked. I can't come to the door right now. Red flags went off in my head like fireworks. Never go inside. Rule number 1 of delivery work. You hand off the food, you leave, you move on. I'm sorry, I said. I'm not allowed to do that. Company policy. Another pause. Please, the voice said, softer now, almost pleading. I really need your help. I should have left. I should have gotten in my car and driven away and let customer support deal with it. But something in her voice made me hesitate. She sounded scared. Are you okay? I asked. No response. I stepped closer to the door. Ma'am, are you all right? The door clicked. Not a lock. Something else, like a latch being pulled back. The door creaked open, just a few inches, enough to see inside. Darkness, complete and total darkness. Hello, I called out. No answer. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the doorway, illuminating a narrow hallway. The walls were bare, no pictures, no furniture, just peeling wallpaper and a floor covered in dust so thick I could see footprints. 2 sets of footprints, one leading in, one leading out. Ma'am, I said again. And then I saw the stairs. They were at the end of the hallway, descending downward, wooden steps that disappeared into blackness. And from that blackness I heard it, a sound, faint, rhythmic, tap, 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 like someone knocking on glass. My breath came shallow. Every instinct screamed at me to leave, but the voice came again. Down here, please, I need help. It was coming from the basement. I don't know why I stepped inside. Maybe it was the way she said please. Maybe it was the exhaustion of a long shift making me stupid. Or maybe it was something else. The floorboards groaned under my weight. The hallway smelled like mildew and something sweeter. Rotten fruit, maybe. Or meat left out too long. I approached the stairs. The tapping stopped. Hello? I whispered. Down here, the voice said. Closer now, right at the bottom of the stairs. I aimed my phone's flashlight down. The beam only reached the first 5 steps. After that, nothing but darkness. I put one foot on the first step. It held. I took another step, then another. The darkness swallowed me. The stairs ended abruptly. My foot hit concrete. I swept the flashlight around. The basement was bigger than the house should have allowed. The walls were cinder block, unpainted. The floor was stained with something dark that spread out in uneven pools. And in the center of the room was a table, a metal table, the kind you see in hospitals or morgues. And on that table were bags, delivery bags, dozens of them, piled on top of each other, Some from Uber Eats, some from DoorDash, some from apps I didn't even recognize. All of them had names written on the receipts. All of them different. None of them said M. Torino. "Oh God," I whispered. "You shouldn't have come down here." I spun around. The voice was right behind me. She stood at the bottom of the stairs, blocking the exit. She was tall, thin. Her hair hung in greasy strands around her face. She wore a stained nightgown that might have been white once, but it was her eyes that made my blood freeze. They were wrong. Too wide, too bright, like she hadn't blinked in hours. "I told you I didn't order this," she said softly. I backed up. "I'm sorry. I'll go. I'll leave the food upstairs." "You can't leave," she said. "Not yet." She took a step forward. I took a step back. My heel hit something. I glanced down. Another bag. This one torn open. The food inside was rotted, covered in mold. "How long have you been doing this?" I asked, my voice shaking. She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. Long enough to know which ones come inside. My heart hammered in my chest. "I didn't come inside," I said quickly. "I stayed on the porch. I was leaving." "But you heard me," she said. "You heard me call for help." She took another step. "And you came down here." I turned and ran. I didn't think. I just moved. There had to be another way out. A window, a door, something. I sprinted across the basement, my phone's flashlight bouncing wildly. Shadows twisted and stretched across the walls. Behind me, I heard her footsteps. Slow, deliberate. She wasn't running. She didn't need to. I reached the far wall and found a door. Wooden, old. I grabbed the handle and pulled. Locked. "No, no, no!" I hissed, yanking harder. Her footsteps stopped. I turned. She was standing in the middle of the room, watching me. "There's no other way out," she said calmly. I made sure of that. I scanned the room desperately. My flashlight landed on a small window near the ceiling. It was covered with bars, but the glass was broken. If I could reach it. I grabbed a wooden crate from the corner and dragged it under the window, climbed on top, reached up. My fingers brushed the bars, and then her hand grabbed my ankle. I screamed. She pulled, and I crashed down onto the concrete floor. Pain exploded through my shoulder. I rolled onto my back, kicking wildly. My foot connected with her stomach. She stumbled back, but only for a second. "Why are you fighting?" she asked, tilting her head. "They all fight. It never helps." I scrambled to my feet and ran for the stairs. She was faster than she looked. Her hand grabbed the back of my jacket, yanking me backward. I twisted, pulling free, and lunged for the stairs. I took them 3 at a time, my phone clutched in one hand, the flashlight beam jerking wildly. Behind me, her footsteps echoed. Calm, steady. I burst into the hallway and sprinted for the front door. It was closed. I didn't remember closing it. I grabbed the handle and pulled. It didn't move. "No!" I shouted, yanking harder. "Open! Open!" The door was locked from the inside, but there was no lock, no bolt, just smooth wood. I heard her reach the top of the stairs. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," she said. I stopped pulling, stopped breathing, and I remembered the window in the living room. I ran, through the hallway, into what must have been a living room. Empty, no furniture, just dust and shadows. But there was a window. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed a piece of broken floorboard and hurled it at the glass. It shattered. Cold air rushed in, along with the sound of rain. I didn't care about the glass. I climbed through, feeling shards slice into my palms. Pain was distant, irrelevant. I hit the ground outside and ran. My car was still there, headlights cutting through the fog. Engine still running. I yanked open the door and threw myself inside, slamming the lock. I didn't look back at the house. I didn't need to. I could feel her watching. I threw the car into reverse and floored it. I didn't stop driving until I was back on Riverside Avenue, under the streetlights, surrounded by normal houses and normal people. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the wheel. I pulled over and sat there, breathing hard, staring at the blood on my palms. What the hell just happened? I grabbed my phone, opened the delivery app. The order was still there. 1847 Marlo Street. Completed. $18.50 deposited into my account. Customer name, M. Torino. I clicked on the address. The map loaded, and the pin dropped on an empty lot. No house, no street, nothing. Just trees and fog. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my apartment with every light on, searching. 1847 Marlo Street, Torino, missing delivery drivers. I found old forum posts, Reddit threads from years ago, drivers talking about weird orders, addresses that didn't exist, customers who weren't real. Most of them laughed it off, GPS glitches, pranks. But one post stopped me cold. It was from 4 years ago. A driver in my city. He talked about an order that took him to Marlo Street. A house that shouldn't have been there. A woman who asked him to come inside. He didn't. He ran, and he never delivered again. The post ended with a warning. If you ever get an order for Marlo Street, cancel it. Don't ask why. Just cancel it. I checked the username. Deleted. I called customer support the next morning. The representative was polite, apologetic. She pulled up the order. I see the delivery was completed, she said. Is there a problem? The address doesn't exist, I said. I checked. There's nothing there. A pause. Sir, I'm showing the address as valid in our system. It's not, I insisted. Look it up. 1847 Marlo Street. It's an empty lot. I heard typing. Another pause. Longer this time. Sir, she said slowly, I'm not seeing any record of a Marlo Street in your city. My blood went cold. What? There's no Marlo Street in our database, she repeated. Are you sure that was the address? I pulled up the app, stared at the screen. The order was gone. Not just completed. Gone. Like it never existed. I delivered there, I said. Last night. I have the photo. I opened my gallery. The photo was gone too. Sir, I'm not showing any deliveries to that location in your account history. I hung up. I didn't drive for 2 weeks. I took time off, told myself I needed a break, that I'd imagined it, stress, exhaustion, something. But I knew the truth. I knew what I saw. On the 15th day, I got another ping. Russo's Italian Kitchen. Pickup time, 9:42 p.m. Drop-off, 1847 Marlo Street. Payout, $18.50. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen. It was the exact same order, word for word. I declined it. 3 seconds later, it pinged again. Same order. I declined again. It pinged a third time. And this time, there was a message in the delivery instructions. You left something behind. I don't know why I went back. Maybe it was the message. Maybe it was the need to prove to myself that I wasn't losing my mind. Or maybe something was pulling me there. I drove the same route, Riverside, Polk, Marlo. The street was still there, still dark, still wrong, and the house was waiting. Same yellow siding, same bare porch light, same red door. But this time, the door was open. I parked the car and sat there, engine running, staring at that open doorway. I should have left, but I didn't. I stepped out of the car and walked to the porch. The bags I'd left 2 weeks ago were gone. In their place was something else. My phone. The one I'd been holding that night. The one I thought I still had. But when I checked my pocket, my phone was there. I picked up the one on the porch. It was identical. Same case. Same crack in the screen. I turned it on. It opened to my delivery app. And there was a new message. Thank you for completing your delivery. You have one more stop tonight. An address appeared. My address, my apartment, delivery time, now. I'm writing this from my car. I'm parked outside my apartment building, and I've been sitting here for 3 hours. Because when I pulled up, I saw someone standing in my window, on the 4th floor, where I live. A woman, tall, thin, watching the street, waiting. I called the police. They checked my apartment, said no one was there. Everything was locked from the inside. But I know what I saw, and I know she's still in there. I don't know what she wants. I don't know what I brought back from that house. But I'm not going inside. I'm done delivering. I'm done with Marlo Street. And if you ever get an order that feels wrong, that takes you somewhere you don't recognize, that offers just a little too much money for just a little too far, cancel it. Don't ask why. Just cancel it. Because some deliveries don't end when you drop off the food. Some deliveries follow you home.